All right, so today's notes is 3.5 evaluating graphs, where we have function notation, which is f of x equals y. So before we get started, what's really important is just understanding what x and y represent. So for x, this represents the x number. And if we have an x number, we're trying to figure out y. That's going to be today's goal. So in order to do that, well, y's on the graph are up and down. So that means when we have an x number, we need to go up or down to the graphed line to find y. Okay? Whereas for this one, this is the y number, which means we're going to have to figure out x. So in order to do that, we have to go left, or, let me rewrite that, right to the graphed line to find x. Okay? So those two, this green and this blue isn't going to make sense until we do some examples. But the whole goal, is to find the number partner. That's it. If we're given x, we find its number partner y. If we have y, we have to figure out x. So first you got to figure out if you're given the x or y value, and you will use its axis. Then you're going to find that number on its axis. So if I have the x number, I'm going to look at the x-axis. If I have the y number, I'm going to look at the y-axis. Then you're going to move straight up or down or left or right. Okay, and again, you move up or down if you're given x. You move left or right if you're given y. Then what you're going to do is you're going to look at the other axis to find the number partner. Okay? Now, what's really important here is what I have written in bold. Do not move in a diagonal. It's straight up, straight down. So straight up, straight down, straight left, straight right. Okay? Those are your movements. So let's look at this graph here. So here's our graph. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to, if we're given x, find the y. So again, looking at this function notation, looking at that function, the x is inside of the parentheses while the y is on the outside. Okay, so looking at this one, -9 is inside the parentheses, so that -9 represents an x. So looking at the x-axis, we're going to find -9, which is right here. Now remember from our notes above, it says you got to go up or down to the graphed line to find y. So the graphed line is below us, so we're going to go down. And we hit it. We hit that graphed line right here. That y value is -4. So that's our answer. We figured out the number partner of y. So, I'm sorry, of x. Let's look at the next one. This is an x value, so we're going to find 7 on the x-axis. Here it is. Again, we only can go up or down, but our graphed line is above us, so we're going to go straight up. Here's where we hit the graph. That number partner is 8. Last one, we have 5. That's still an x value, so we find 5 on the x-axis, which is right here. Go straight up to the graphed line, because that's where it's at, and the number partner there is 2. Okay? In the next one here, we're given y, and we're going to find x, typo. So, this first one, we have f of x equals 6, then x equals something. This is telling me that I have to figure out x. So this means that this 6 has to be y. So 6 is our y. So we're going to look at the y-axis and find 6. Here is 6 on the y-axis. We're trying to figure out its x value, its number partner. And again, from earlier, if we are given that y value, okay, if we are given that y value, we have to go left or right to the graphed line to find x. So in this particular example, our graphed line is to the right, so I go to the right. Here it is. I drop straight down. Oh boy, I have a decimal. What number is in between 6 and 7? Well, that would be about 6.5. That's my guesstimation there. All right, let's look at another example. So we have f of x equals -2. -2 is our y value. So we got to figure out x. So find -2 on my y-axis. Here it is. Now, if you're looking at this, you're probably saying, oh my gosh, there's a graphed line to the left and to the right. We care about all of them. So let's go to the left first. When I hit the graphed line, that number partner is -8, so let me write that. When I go to the right, the first number partner to the right is 1, so I'm going to write that. The next number partner to the right is going to be in between 3 and 4, which is 3.5. So be careful. Sometimes the y's, if you're given a y, there might be a couple of x values. So just make sure you get all of them, not just one, not the first one that you see, but all of them. All right, next up, we have 3 is our y value. So find 3 on the y-axis. Here it is. Okay, we have to go left or right. And again, we have a lot happening on the left and on the right. So let's start with the left. On the left, we have -4, and we have in between -6 and -5 is a -5.5. So far we got -4 and -5.5. When I go to the right, I hit the graph again, and that's in between 5 and 6, about in the middle, so that's about 5.5, a positive 5.5. Okay, so again, if you're given those y's, you might have a couple of x's. Your homework is on the back side of this page. Go forth and do it.